Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture to see how those incidents may or may not affect our daily lives. Listen, child, let me tell y'all something. First of all, housekeeping, please hit that like button. And once you hit that like button, if you like what you see, please subscribe. Once you subscribe, you'll be open to a plethora of movies and television series that I have reviewed. And also, you'll be into pop culture, where our pop culture chats, where I go over uh, incidents in pop culture and go over it and see how it affects our daily lives. All right. Let me tell y'all something. The other day, I had my Bantu knots in because in my head, what I was going to do, that was yesterday, I was going to the Bob Marley movie, and I was gonna have my Bantu knots, and I was gonna take my Bantu knots down, and I was gonna have all these glorious, glorious curls, and I was gonna step into that movie, already the ish, because I am the ish. Baby, how about I think I did a live, and about an hour and a half after the live, they triggered a migraine, child. My head was bouncing right about here. It's on this side, just bouncing. So I had to quickly take those out. And so you see I'm left with the flatness. But nevertheless, you heard what I just said. I went to the Bob Marley One Love movie, and I want to go over and recap it. Now, as with all my reviews, they are spoiler-ish. This is a this was a true living person, so some information you may have gotten from Wikipedia or wherever it is you go to get information. But I want to talk about my first initial thoughts, my thoughts about this whole movie. Okay, so let's go to IMDb, and I'm just going to read real quickly the synopsis. Is Marley, One Love, the story of how reggae icon Bob Marley overcame adversity and the journey behind his revolutionary music. All right, so this movie picks it doesn't cover his entire life. It just covers a very brief period, particularly from what I gather from the movie. Jamaica had a lot of political strife. There were two political parties, and each one of those parties, there was fighting and killing and shootings and all kinds of stuff, and he got caught up in all of that. He uh he was he was preaching one love, one Jamaica. Let's all get together. Let's be, one thing. But each faction thought that he was a threat because I guess they thought that he was working for the other one. So when the movie opens, you see, and like I said, it's spoiler ish. So I will spoil some things, but I won't spoil your your wanting to go to the movie. So we start off with him being uh, an assassination attempt, and that became foul. So he was having to deal with that, deal with the turmoils of his country, uh, deal with promoters and managers and things like that, wanting him to go on these tours, these English tours, and all these different things, and also coming up with a illness, a diagnosis that ultimately was his death. And so he's having to deal with all of those different things. I will tell you, the movie didn't get as in depth as I thought it would. It just kind of skirted over just enough for you to understand that he was going through a lot. Because if we can remember, Bob Marley died at 36 years old, so he was going through a lot of different things, within his group, with his marriage, uh, politically, his faith, all of these things were going. His faith was constant, but it was tried because of all the things that were going on. The actor that played Bob Marley, let me see if I can get his name right. Kingsley Ben Adir. I think he did a very good job. I think he, particularly when performing, I think he encapsulated the way Bob Marley performed on stage, and I can only I can't I'm not Jamaican, so I cannot judge on his accent and his the way he spoke. So if you're from Jamaica or you're thing, y'all let me know down in the comments, how did he do? but he did good enough for me to sometimes when I couldn't understand what he was saying, especially when they were getting upset and angry and talking really, really fast. So, I think he did a good job. Lashana Lynch, she played the hell out of Rita Marley. She gave me so much strength, but then there was so much uh, femininity and womanhood and just her understanding who she was and how she was, but also feeling a little vulnerable about it. And I was looking at and I was watching the movie and I was just thinking, man, he is a because he would get ghost. He would like, he'd take his group, they would go. She'd have to, he would send her to the United States. He would send her wherever he needed to send her, because particularly during the time when the political strife was bad, because the assassination tip, she was almost assassination tip was done on her as well. So it was all of these little different things. And I kept sitting in this theater, and I am not this person, but I've heard so much about all this stuff that I was just like, Doug, he seems like an Aquarius. And when I left the theater, the first thing I did was look up Bob Marley. And he was like born on February 6th. I was like, oh, okay. So now I kind of understand it. They have that sense of community and service and things like that. But once they get a little once they get antsy or they feeling some kind of way, they retreat inward. And that's what he seemed like he was doing. So I understood that. I know it sounds, I know we all run around here about that, but that was the first thing that I had thought about. Uh let's see, let's continue to get on. I was trying to think. I did like to see how his bandmates and things like that, they really, really, truly uh loved him. He was very, very much loved. You could tell that he was loved by his wife. He was loved by his family. He was loved by his bandmates. He was loved. He was loved by his countrymen. He was very, very much loved. So the director of this was Ronaldo Marcus Green, and it says that the writers were Terrence Winter, Frankie Flowers, and Zach Balin. So overall, I think it was a good introduction of who he was and the um, pressures that he had upon him. I would encourage you to go see it. Now, those are my things that I did enjoy. I'm going to tell you what I did not enjoy. I just didn't enjoy the cursory part of the life. The movie was good for what it was. Do not mishear me. I think that it's my humble request, uh, Bob Marley's family. Bob Marley's family, are you listening? It's my humble request that all the stuff that was just a cursory skirt over everything, I really would love to see this play out in a mini series on Netflix, because I believe that Netflix would be the place that would give you the budget and you all could do this right. I would love for it to be in like 4 to 6 acts. You go on from his childhood, you go on how he met his wife when he was when he was the Whalers. That I would love to hear about more about, if there was any in and out fighting within the band or stuff like that, because I don't remember like I've had thing, but I do there was some people that were in the band and then they were not in the band and all this other stuff like that. I would have loved to understood that. I would have loved to understood his enlightenment into being a Rastafarian. I would have loved to seen that. I would have loved to have some in depth about that. I would have loved some in depth about just political strife, what was going on, and how they were living and things like that within this political strife. Just all of that, that was interesting. I would have loved to know, you know, how he approached writing these songs, because you did kind of see there was just some little things he would just think about and then he'd write a song. But I would love to know that approach, even when he was younger. How was he approaching? I would have loved to have seen uh, past the point that they gave us. I would have loved to seen how uh, his ultimate goal for playing in Africa. I think if we could have gotten, uh, I don't know, Road to Zimbabwe, or however you wanted to characterize it, Bob Marley's Road to Zimbabwe, Bob Marley, something. But just for him to get to the space that he wanted to be in, which was performing in Africa, and getting to that space, and then everything it took for him to get there. I think that's my only criticism of this. I would have loved this to have not been a movie, but to have been a mini series. You can use the same actors. If you decide to do something like this in 2 to 3 years' time, you definitely can use the same actors, and you definitely can just kind of go back in his life and figure and do all of this. Uh, his relationship with his children, all of the relationships that he's had, because we find out that he did have extramarital affairs. She had extramarital affairs. Not that I'm trying to get into the salaciousness, but I do want to see all those things and how that affected. How did his diagnosis affect him? What was done to help prolong his life with this diagnosis? So it's a lot of different things. So what is my rating on this film? Like I said, it was a for what it was a decent film. It just did a cursory look into the life of Bob Marley. I probably enjoyed the ending where we got to see the actual Bob Marley. We got to see him performing and things like that. I enjoyed that part. Even if we did this the 6 part series as a documentary, I think that that would be great, and have concert footage and all of these little different things. I think that that would have been great. All right. So out of 10 stars, I would give this a solid 7. Again, my only criticism was it gave me just a little tiny bit, and I want more. It's just like you going somewhere and someone says, "Oh, just taste this," and you taste it and you want more, but the person who let you taste it has walked away and you don't know where she got it or he got it from or anything like that. I just had a little taste and now I want a deep dive. All right. So would I suggest you go to this movie? Absolutely. It was a good time when the songs were coming up and when you recognize the song and stuff like that. When I was in the theater, people were singing the songs and not loudly, but they're like, "Oh, that's No Woman No Cry." Oh, okay. So I would just yeah. The reason why I said I wanted it in depth because they were doing things like that and you wanted to know like, okay, so what was the process of this coming up this song? We saw a little bit of his process about how he was doing song. He was a bit unorthodox. It was whatever came up came out. They had the little feelings and stuff like that. It's a wonderful thing, but I just am hungry for a little bit more. All right, people, we do this every week. Every week. Uh, Again, please like, comment, and subscribe. And let's talk about it in the comments. Did you go see it? If you did, what was one of your favorite parts of the movie? Uh, I thought the flashbacks was interesting. I still wanted to know this whether he did or he didn't have this relationship with his father and how all of that came about. I'm interested in that, and interested is that how partly what affected him. I was also interested in uh, his religious awakening. I wanted to hear more about that. Okay. So let's chop all that up in the comments. All right, people, we do this every week. All right. Please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell that coworker, or tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos, y'all. And as always, people, bye bye.